Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Teaching Students with Disabilities webinar. Thank you all for joining me. My name is Stefan Murray Balanich. I am part of New York City Public Schools Office Teacher of Recruitment and Quality, and I will be your host tonight. And we're going to get things going because we have a lot of content to share with you all tonight. So before we do begin, we're all in GoToWebinar now. So in the Q&A function to submit, you're going to use, the Q&A function to submit your questions. We do have people in this call who will be answering questions in the chat. So just make sure you're asking your questions there. Everyone will be receiving a recording of this webinar via email after the session is over. And also, we're going to have a lot of QR codes on your screen in the presentation. So just if you're interested, you use your phone and you can scan those to get more information. You're also going to get a recording, like I stated, so you can always go back if you do miss a code. Now, before we do get started with everything, I do want to remind everyone about our website, our brand new updated website at teachnyc.net. It is the ultimate resource, for all things teaching at New York City Public Schools. And it has been redesigned to provide tools to help you learn about New York City Public Schools and find the right pathway to teaching that's right for you. Now, today's session is for New York State certified teacher candidates, education students that are on track to be certified and interested in teaching students with disabilities. And the presentation has been broken up into 5 parts. We have an overview of New York City Public Schools. We're going to talk about the special education landscape. We'll then dive into pathways and the application process and the job search process. And then if we do have some time, we will try to answer some questions live. But essentially, my goal is for you to walk away with an understanding of how you can begin and start the process to a teaching career at New York City Public Schools. So with that, I'm going to do an overview of New York City Public Schools, talk a little bit about the district, benefits of a career with New York City Public Schools, and also some teacher supports and opportunities. So first, I want to read off a quote from our Chancellor, Kamar Samuels. As a lifelong educator who has served our system as a teacher, principal, and superintendent, and as the parent of 2 New York City Public School students, I know firsthand that our schools are the heart of our communities. I believe that our students, from early childhood through graduation, deserve schools that are safe, academically rigorous, and truly integrated. They should know that their children are learning the fundamentals, starting with reading, and are being challenged academically, guided by high expectations, strong instruction, and teachers who believe in them. So when you join New York City Public Schools, you join the largest, most dynamic district in the nation. We have over 900,000 students who speak over 180 languages, and a network of 77,000 fellow teachers. New York City educators have the unique privilege and responsibility to jumpstart the next generation of innovators, leaders, and citizens. New York City Public Schools represents a wide range of backgrounds, identities, languages, and learning needs. They need teachers who reflect their diversity and are ready and able to support their learning. Whatever your background, experiences, and skill sets are, there are students in New York City Public School classrooms waiting for a teacher like you. New York City Public Schools has over 1,600 schools that are as diverse as our students and the distinctive neighborhoods we serve. There are schools with a focus in STEAM, humanities, and dual language schools. So, whatever your interest or passion may be, there is a school for you. So, the New York State class size law means opportunities for educators in New York City is only growing. We're hiring thousands of additional teachers this year to ensure that our classrooms citywide are in compliance with the law. New York City Public Schools is always growing, with new schools opening each year. This year, we opened 7 new schools. New York City Public Schools is dedicated to attracting and retaining the very best teachers for our schools. We are looking for passionate, collaborative, and committed teachers who reflect the incredible diversity of our student body. Passionate. Our team of exceptional educators are passionate about educating students, truly believing in the power education can make in students' lives. Collaborative. Our teachers thrive on constant learning and collaboration with colleagues. Committed. Our teachers go above and beyond for students, understanding students' challenges and embracing their potential. And diverse. We seek teachers who are as diverse as our students. So a teacher's impact extends well beyond the classroom. Teachers impact student achievement 2 to 3 times more than any other aspect of schooling. Among school related factors, studies show that teachers matter most. When it comes to student performance on reading and math tests, teachers have 2 to 3 times the effect of any other school factor, including services, facilities, and even school leadership. Research has shown that a teacher's impact on their own class has what they call spillover effects for the entire school. When you make an impact on students within our classroom, those students then go on to raise the level of achievement in their future classes. In a given school year, a teacher can make a huge impact on the students in their class. Students who can read proficiently by the end of 3rd grade are significantly less likely to drop out of high school. And graduating from high school is associated with major life benefits, including increased wealth and likelihood of employment. So teachers have long-lasting impacts for our student body. Now, what are some of the benefits of teaching at New York City Public Schools? So first, make a difference in the lives of your fellow New Yorkers, maybe even those in your local community. Focus on building a better future, using your skills to help develop the nation's next leaders, innovators, and educators. And build relationships with colleagues dedicated to a shared goal. You'd be joining a robust network of over 70,000 teachers. Here's just 2 testimonials from some of our New York City Public Schools teachers. On the left, we have Sergio, graduated from Brooklyn College. He taught middle school English language arts. He's actually currently an assistant principal in a school. Just going to give you a moment to read his quote. Now, next we have Charlene. Charlene teaches science in a high school focused on supporting English language learners, and has the opportunity to support students during these critical years as they are learning English and preparing for college study in the health sciences. And I'll give you just a moment to read her quote. So there are competitive salaries with a career in teaching in New York City public schools. And these salaries showed here are starting on September 14th, 2026. They will start at $71,314 for a bachelor's degree and no experience, and $80,166 with a master's and no experience. Now, teachers' starting salaries vary based on education and experience. You can also earn additional compensation for teaching after school or summer school programs and for teaching in demanding environments. Now, our office is unable to predict what your starting salary will be based on your experience in education, but you can estimate your starting salary by visiting the UFT's salary schedule. It's actually on the screen. You can scan that QR code. Essentially, what that does is it outlines opportunities for increases based on previous teaching experience, longevity at New York City public schools, and educational credits. Now, all teachers begin at the base salary and then apply for salary steps and salary differentials using the salary application system. Now, this slide looks ahead to what your salary would be in the future at New York City public schools. So, if you are currently in your 8th year of teaching with your master's plus your 30 credits and professional development courses, you would be at $106,907. And then next is with 15 years, same with a master's degree and 30 credits and professional development courses. Now, just remember, this is using the pay scale for the 2026 school season. So these rates are subject to increase with the yearly raises negotiated by the UFT contract. Now, here's just a ton of other different resources. You have UFT resources, New York City Public Schools specific resources, and we actually have a recording of our salary webinar. Highly recommend checking that out. And once again, you're going to get the recording, so you can always go back if you missed some codes to scan. Now, there's some robust benefits. There's comprehensive health insurance plan. This includes dental, vision, and prescription drugs. And some of these plans require no employee contribution. There's an annual retention bonus, which is prorated during your first year and increases each year. You then also have membership with the UFT or the United Federation of Teachers. Also enrollment in a pension plan. And there's also other great discounts and financial incentives that New York City Public Schools teachers can take advantage of. This includes things like commuter benefits, a college savings program, and more. Now, new teachers hit the ground running with professional resources and learning opportunities tailored just for them. So, in addition to the many career development opportunities available to all teachers, we offer robust supports for our new teachers. Now, this could be in person, online, and in community settings. And this includes a New Teacher Week, which is an annual event where new teachers can get inspiration from special guest speakers, learn about key policies, and engage with your union. There's also school-based mentoring. New hires are assigned an experienced and trained mentor teacher to support professional growth throughout your first year. We also have a first class newsletter, which is a monthly bulletin. There's also a ton of different professional development opportunities throughout your years as a teacher. So a lot of great supports for new teachers as well as ongoing supports throughout your teaching career. And I do want to just highlight teacher leader opportunities. This is a great opportunity as you move on to your career with New York City Public Schools, but essentially it's a way to earn an additional $20,000 per year, up to $20,000. And here you can become a model teacher, master teacher, or peer collaborator teacher, essentially leading a laboratory classroom, facilitating professional collaborations, and coaching peers and colleagues, and advocating in leadership conversations. Now, for more information about that, you can scan our QR code. And I just want to make sure. Okay, and now we're going to move on to understanding the special education landscape. And I believe we have Rachel in the call. Rachel, are you there?
Hi, Stefan.
Perfect. Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Very happy to be here. My name is Rachel Rippy-Chun. I'm with the Special Education Office, and I started my career as a special education teacher, so I'm especially excited to share about the different opportunities available to teachers here in New York City Public Schools for those of you interested in working with students with disabilities. So we can dive right in. So we have lots of special education programs that you will hear about and see different postings with some jargon that you may or may not be familiar with. But just to give you kind of a high level overview of the special education landscape, we have classes across the city that are considered inclusion classes or general education classes, meaning they are a classroom that any student would typically be enrolled in with and without IEPs or with and without disabilities. So no special certification required to teach those classes, but they do have students with IEPs in many cases. We have special education classes. These are specifically for students with IEPs. We have students with related services only. So related services include things like occupational therapy, speech therapy, different related services you may be familiar with, counseling. Some students only have related services, and that's their complete special education plan, while many or most students across the city have both an instructional program as well as related services to help them be successful. We have specialized programs here in New York City. We're going to get in detail about many of those different programs and talk about, what makes each unique. Typically, the class size and the disability type or the student population will help determine what kind of program it is. We also have specialized schools. Here in New York City, we call them District 75. So it's a non-geographic district that is all for students with disabilities. We have home and hospital instruction for students who may not be able to attend school in person. This is typically a temporary placement, but we'll talk more about what that looks like. We have bilingual special education, which is exactly what it sounds like, instruction in multiple languages. And then, of course, we have preschool special education classes for our youngest learners. In the next slide. So our neighborhood schools typically have one or multiple special education programs available to students. So in one school, you may see all or any combination of these available to students. Special Education Teacher Support Services, affectionately called SETS here in New York City. This is a program where a special education teacher may push into general education classes to support groups of students. And sometimes they may even pull students out of class to work with small groups on specific skills. If you've taught in other states or areas, you may have heard of like Resource Room. It's very similar, but we take it a step further and try to be a bit more inclusive here in New York City and do a lot of push-in services for students with this support on their IEP. We offer integrated co-teaching, which is when you have two full-time teachers running the class. You have a special education teacher and a general education teacher together providing instruction to the students in the classes. Again, the specialized programs I mentioned, we have programs like NEST and Horizon and AIMS, which are programs specifically for students on the autism spectrum. We have the ACES program, the Academic Career and Essential Skills program for students with intellectual and multiple disabilities. We have the iRead program, which is a program for students with literacy difficulties or students with dyslexia. And then we have the PATH program, which is a behavior focused program for students at risk or with behavior disabilities. I'm getting a little bit of background noise. I don't know if everybody's getting that, but I just want to make sure everyone's muted. Thank you. All right, then we also have special classes, which are classes in a school that are only for students with IEPs. This is typically students who need the highest level of support at a school would be in a special class without any peers without disabilities. And then again, you have the related services only, where those may push into any of the above models or be a pull-out service for students to help them meet their goals. We can go to the next slide. So this is our continuum of special education services. Basically, everything I just mentioned, but in a visual form. So you can see on the left, you have general education, which is the least restrictive environment for students, meaning it's the typical environment all students would go to at a school. And then that continuum goes all the way over to specialized schools like District 75, where it's only students with disabilities. And then in the middle, you have things like special class, ICT, and SETs. You can actually go to the next slide so those pop up. And those fall into the spectrum here that are less restrictive than the specialized school, but not as little restrictive as general education. And then those related services and supplemental aids and services can really fall anywhere across the spectrum. So those might be delivered in general education, or they may be delivered in a specialized school. But basically, just this visual is from least to most restrictive. We can go to the next slide. So just a little bit more about what to expect from an integrated co-teaching class or an ICT class. You know, in education, we love our acronyms, so you'll hear a lot of those. These are provided exclusively in general education classes, meaning it's highly inclusive. So it is a special education program, but because it's paired with one general ed and one special education teacher, it is technically a general education program or setting. And you have students with and without IEPs who may be enrolled in these classes. So even if you don't decide to be a special education teacher, at some point in your career with New York City Public Schools, you could be placed in an ICT class, collaborating with a special education teacher and supporting students with and without IEPs, just as you would in a general education class. We can go to the next slide. Our specialized programs, again, such as NEST, Horizon, and AIMS, these are specialized in autism support, and they have really focused instructional, social, emotional, and behavioral supports for our autistic learners. And these are programs available in neighborhood community schools. So District 75 also has students with autism enrolled, but these are programs in community schools in districts 1 through 32. And that ACES program that I mentioned is a similar program, but it's for students with intellectual disability or multiple disabilities who need a bit more support. And it's a special class setting in their neighborhood community school. And I'm going to drop a link in the chat where you can learn more about all of these programs. And we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So the NEST program supports autistic learners in a classroom of students with and without IEPs. It's a smaller ICT class with, again, a special ed and a general ed teacher at the helm. All students with IEPs in the class would have a classification of autism. We partner really closely with New York University as a key partner in this program to provide all of our teachers with training and support needed to implement this model. It is a national model, so it's very structured, and all teachers in this program receive support to be able to do that effectively. You receive pre-service and ongoing professional learning throughout your time as a teacher in the NEST program. We can go to the next slide. Horizon is also a program for autistic learners. It is also housed within a community school, but it's taught by one special education teacher and one classroom paraprofessional. So it is not an ICT class. This is a special class. Students receive classroom supports and training tailored to the needs of autistic learners, just like NEST. And with the proper support, students have the opportunities for inclusion in larger classroom learning settings with their peers with and without IEPs. So the goal is not to stay in a Horizon class, but you want to really foster growth for those students so that they can move on to either a NEST program or a fully inclusive general education setting. And similar to NEST, teachers also receive that pre-service training and implement the Horizon model and ongoing professional learning and classroom coaching from the autism team on the strategies to help your students grow. And we can go to the next slide. AIMS is an early childhood program for our students that's focused on building language and communication and adaptive skills for our earliest, youngest learners with autism. The special education teacher, a speech provider, a paraprofessional, and an occupational therapist all work together to support these classes. And they'll receive pre-service and ongoing training and coaching on applied behavior analysis, or ABA, as well as verbal behavior and structured teaching. The entire classroom is designed to support the needs of autistic students who are non-speaking or have only emerging language. And we can go to the next slide. All right, back to our ACEs program. Again, this is a special class program for students with intellectual and multiple disabilities. The ratio, as you can see here, is typically 12 to 1 plus 1, which means 12 students to one teacher and a para, or 15 to 1, meaning 15 students to one teacher. ACEs programs provide students with an opportunity to learn even more than just academics, but really focusing on employment and independent living skills in smaller classes. Some of these programs also have activities for daily living labs where students can learn how to do laundry and cooking and other independent living skills. Those labs are also very common in District 75. These programs use the standard public school academic framework with similar activities found in non-specialized classes, but teachers can modify instruction to meet students' needs and develop specially designed instruction for them. Individual adaptations are tailored to address the needs of each student, and the program emphasizes inclusive opportunities for students to join the school community and engage with peers who do not have IEPs. ACEs program students should have access to all of the opportunities available at their neighborhood school and in their community through meaningful engagement. We can go to the next slide. All right, so integrated co-teaching. This is our ICT model. It's provided in the general education classroom, but some students with IEPs that have the ICT program recommended may only have it for certain subjects, meaning a student can have ICT for math, but not have it for English. And so as an ICT teacher, you may be focused on one or multiple specific subjects and have different students for different classes. Up to 40% of students with IEPs are in the class alongside students without IEPs. And then you can see the breakdown here of elementary and middle versus high school. You may have a traditional class size of 25 to 33 students in elementary school, and that means about 10 to 12 of them would have IEPs. And with the new class size law that Stefan had mentioned, it's more like 20 to 23 students, and that means 8 to 9 with IEPs. In middle school, and then in high school, that's a little bit bigger, up to 25 students, and 10 of those would have IEPs. And again, the big thing to drive home here is that this is a collaborative teaching environment where two teachers hold instruction of the class, a general education teacher and a special education teacher. And we can go to the next slide. As a teacher providing ICT, you will provide access to the general education curriculum and specially designed instruction to meet your students' individual needs. You'll work in partnership with one or more teachers to plan rigorous classroom lessons to help your students meet their goals. You'll provide services to students for all subjects, or, like I said, on an individual subject basis. You will also manage an IEP caseload as the special education teacher in an ICT class and support families in understanding their child's IEP, meaning you are writing the IEPs for those students in the class. You may serve students with disabilities in special class as well as ICT or other programs. So depending on the school and how many students are enrolled in various programs, that just means you may not be only an ICT teacher. You may have some periods where you teach ICT, some periods where you teach special class, or different combinations of program models. We can go to the next slide. So for special class, this is more of an individualized service, meaning that it's a special class only of students with IEPs. And as a teacher providing this service, you may design and deliver content to the students in your class by adapting the general education content, adapting the methodology, or delivering instruction to ensure your students are given the opportunity to meet educational standards. You'll work together with a paraprofessional. You'll manage an IEP caseload similar to any special education teacher, even ICT, where you're writing the IEPs for a specific caseload of students and you're supporting their families in understanding what is in their child's IEP and what services would help make their child successful. You might serve students with disabilities in special class as well as other programs, just like I said with ICT. We can go to the next slide. For SETs, or special education teacher support services, these are intended to help students remain in the general ed classroom as much as possible. Again, this as a professional, you're pushing into those gen ed classes. These are provided within the general education classroom or in a separate location as needed if students need to be pulled out to work on specific skills. And you always have a group size of up to 8 students. So you'll never have more than 8 set students at a time. It would be 8 or less. It could even be just a few students. We can go to the next slide. As a SETS teacher, you may provide specially designed or supplemental instruction to support the participation of students with disabilities in general education classes. You provide consultation to students' gen ed teachers. This means if a general education teacher is doing a lesson and they aren't really sure how to make it accessible to their students with IEPs, you become that consultant where you're able to work with the other professionals in your building to give them tips and tricks on things they might do to reach students who may need things in a different format or in a different structure to meet their individual needs. You'll collaborate with other general education teachers on how to make instruction strongest. You'll manage an IEP caseload, again, just like any special education teacher. You're writing those IEPs and you're supporting families in understanding their child's IEP. You can provide instruction, again, in any combination of programs in your building, whether that's SETS, ICT, special class, or others. We can go to the next slide. District 75, again, is that non-geographic district providing quality and rigorous individualized education programs to students with the most significant challenges. Students in District 75 might have autism spectrum disorders, significant cognitive delays, emotional disabilities, sensory impairments, or multiple physical disabilities. So when we're thinking about District 75, we're really thinking about students who could not be served in their community school. Okay, so these are students who needed highly specialized instruction, and so they're attending a specialized school district that is full of the experts in how to reach students with our most significant needs. We can go to the next slide. District 75, as you can imagine, if they're serving students with the most significant needs, they have a lot of specialties. These are our experts on special classes to instruct students with diverse speech and cognitive disabilities. They collaborate with paraprofessionals and teachers, related service providers, or other school counselors to create individualized instruction that promotes learning and development of students' skills in reading, writing, and math while teaching all core subjects. So they're always working on those, reading, writing, and math skills, even if it's science or social studies or other content areas. They apply the workshop model, the stations model, and other models of whole group and small group instruction to ensure mastery of skills. And they monitor student learning through independent work and alternate assessments. So these are assessments that are not the typical state assessments. They are alternate assessments that help students show their mastery of standards in a different way. We can go to the next slide. All right, so District 75 has a variety of different class sizes available. You can see the class type here on the left. These are the ratios, and then it breaks down what that ratio means. So a 6:1+1 is 6 students, 1 teacher, 1 para. You have 8 students, 1 teacher, 1 para. You can have 12 students, 1 para, or I'm sorry, 1 teacher and up to 4 paraprofessionals or other staff in the room. This is typically, students with extensive medical needs who may need a lot of adult intervention. And then you have 12 students, 1 teacher, 1 para as well. So you can see that it's, a lot of support happening in these classrooms. You always have at least 2 adults in the room in a variety of different class sizes. You can go to the next slide. As a teacher in District 75, you're going to work with students with very high needs in most or all areas. That includes not just academics, but social and interpersonal development, physical development, and like management of their personal needs and behaviors. You'll provide highly intensive individual programming, continual adult supervision, a very specialized behavior management program to engage in tasks. A program of speech or language therapy might even include what we call augmentative or alternative communication, or AAC, for students who are non-speaking that may use a device to communicate or other system to communicate. Work with students with academic and behavioral management needs that interfere with the instructional process. And you'll provide additional adult support and specialized instruction. We can go to the next slide. Home and hospital instruction. This is a service for students who are school-aged and unable to attend school due to orthopedic, non-orthopedic, or medical or psychiatric reasons. School-aged public, private, and parochial students who are hospitalized for chronic acute medical, orthopedic, or psychiatric conditions may also have home or hospital instruction. This serves all students in all 5 boroughs of New York City and operates both during the day as well as outside of school hours, depending on what a student's medical care schedule looks like. And this is an interim service, an interim program. It is a non-diploma granting program. Home instruction provides academic services to limit the educational effects of a long-term absence. So as a teacher in home and hospital instructional settings, you may be working with students for limited periods of time with many different students just during this time of need. We can go to the next slide. Bilingual special education is for students in special education programs or settings who require a language of instruction other than English. This is intended to support our English language learners who benefit from culturally and linguistically responsive instruction that addresses cognitive, academic, and linguistic needs. You can apply for a bilingual extension to become a bilingual special education teacher. We can go to the next slide. And of course, we have preschool special education. There's different types of preschools. There's district schools. We have pre-K centers. And then we have what's called state-approved 4410 and 4201 programs here in New York City. But they all feature full-day classes. These are 6 hours and 20 minutes, 180 days a year, with options for extended day. Class sizes typically tend to be in the least restrictive environment, depending on regional need. And teacher supports are available for professional learning and curricular resources to help you be successful. We can go to the next slide. Preschool classes have a variety of settings. So there's special class integrated setting, and then you have special class. So what's the difference between these? We have it here on the screen. So in a special class integrated setting, the class size might be mixed. So you have 18 students, which might look like 10 general education students and 8 special education students, or 18 students might be 12 general education students and 6 special education students. For 3K special class integrated setting, you have 15 students, and that might be 9 general education students and 6 special education students. But for special class, it's just a class size of 12, 8, or 6. And again, all students in that case would have IEPs. For SKIS or special class integrated setting, you have both a special education teacher and a general education teacher at the helm of the class. But in a special class, it's just one special education teacher. You have 2 teacher assistants in both models. And related service providers may push in as needed in either setting as well. So again, you have those speech providers, occupational therapy providers, physical therapy providers pushing into the class as needed to work with students. And we can go to the next slide. All right, I'm going to pass it, I think, back to Stefan.
Thank you. And I'm going to pass it over to Hasty, who's going to talk about the application process.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So my name is Ohasi, and I work at an elementary school in District 6. I currently teach departmentalized 5th grade, and I have 3 classes, and 2 of my classes happen to be an ICT class, and the other one is an ICT Nest class. Okay, so let's talk about the application process. We're going to give you a brief overview of the certification and application processes. There are other sessions hosted by our office that go into more detail, but hopefully this gives you a sense of what to expect. Okay, so New York State teacher certification is a requirement for a permanent teaching position at a New York City public school. Most of our applicants have already earned their certification or will have it by the time they plan to begin full-time teaching. If you are in a teacher preparation program or hold a teaching certification in another state, you must apply for New York State certification at nysed.gov. You should submit your New York City teacher application while you are completing your certification requirements or while you are waiting for your certification. You don't need to wait until your certification is finalized in order to apply. There are a few unique teaching opportunities if you aren't yet certified, which we'll talk about on the next few slides before getting into the application process. So let's talk about some internship certification opportunities. If you're at a certain point in your schooling, you may have an opportunity to obtain an internship certificate. So what is an internship certificate? Well, it's a 2-year certificate and it's available to students who have completed at least 50% of an approved New York State graduate program leading to an initial certificate. So why would you want to consider an internship certificate? Well, it helps meet immediate needs across New York City. You can obtain hands-on teaching experience while completing your degree and initial certificate requirements. And you can begin earning a full-time teaching salary while you're still in school. And how can you apply? Well, you need to complete the New York City Public Schools teacher application. You upload a letter from your university about your internship certification eligibility as your certification documentation. We also have some early childhood opportunities in the next slide. There are many different opportunities for early childhood educators. On the left of your screen, it shows all of the opportunities for certified teachers. If you are certified or on track to be certified by September of 2026, we recommend completing the New York City Public Schools teacher application at teachnyc.net. When completing the application, you can then select whether you would be interested in teaching at CBOs. Saying yes to CBOs will greatly increase your job prospects. For those who will not be certified by September of this year and are interested in teaching early childhood, we recommend that you complete the Early Childhood Teacher Finder. With this, you have the opportunity to teach in CBOs as a lead teacher on a study plan, which allows you to teach full-time and earn a salary while completing your certification requirements. For more information, you can go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen. Everyone must complete the New York City teacher application on teachnyc.net. When applying to teach in the New York City public schools, you should several important action steps. The action steps are not necessarily listed in order since you can submit your New York City teacher application without being officially certified. Oftentimes, teacher candidates want to know, should I wait to be certified before I apply? All teacher candidates should absolutely apply before their certification is issued. Applying before you are certified is recommended and is actually expected. Do not wait until you have your certification for you to apply. This could delay your potential employment with New York City Public Schools. You'll get your teacher certification through New York State Education Department. It's important to note that New York State Education Department is a separate entity from the New York City Public Schools. New York State Education Department is the main entity that issues certifications. In short, if New York State Education Department says that you are certified, then you are ready to be hired under your certification. Just make sure that you are working closely with your college or university certification office to ensure that you complete all the certification requirements. Certifications are now issued on a rolling basis, so the faster that you are certified, the easier it is for you to get hired. Okay, so now moving on to the application process. This slide shows the full application process. The first steps are completing both the common profile and the New York City Public Schools teacher application. For those that are certified or are on track to be certified by September 2026, we recommend completing the application when it opens next month. And on the next slide, we'll see
Sorry, O'Hazy,
how you can start.
realized I messed up the notes there. The application currently is open. My apologies. The application is currently open now, so you could apply now. Apologies for that mistake.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so the next slide, starting your application. So this is a screenshot of teachnyc.net where you'll go to apply. Once you get to teachnyc.net, you're going to click on Apply Today. It will show a drop down for all of the different applications. For the teacher application, you're going to select Certified Teacher Application. For those that will be certified in early childhood and are interested in CBOs, select the CBO application. The next slide, we're going to talk about creating an account. If you are a new user to the New York City teacher application, you will need to select New User. If you used the teacher application in a previous year, you can use your previous login information in order to gain access to the system. If for any reason you can't remember your previous login information or not sure if you have been in our system in the past, you can go ahead and select not sure. And the next slide will show some things to look for. Here's an example of the icons and required fields that you will need to complete on your application. Okay, moving on. The next slide, proof of certification. One of the most common reasons why teacher candidates' applications get held up during the review process is that they do not upload the correct or current supporting documentation showing they're certified and or on track to be certified. If you hold a New York State teacher certification already, you will need to submit an electronic copy of your current and unexpired teacher certification or a screenshot of your Teach account showing your current active New York State certification. If you are on track to receive your New York City teacher certification by September of 2026, you must submit an on-track letter completed by your college or university. You can find a sample of one of these letters by scanning the QR code on your screen. And the next slide we'll talk about the on-track letter. If you will receive a teacher certification by September 2026, you must submit an on-track letter completed by your college or university. Okay, so you can scan the right QR code, the QR code on the right. You are completing a New York State approved teacher preparation program. And the QR code to the left, you are completing an approved teacher preparation program in another U.S. state or territory. For those who are certified to teach in another state, you should begin the process to get certified in New York State. Please go to nysed.gov to begin the process. NYSED takes 6 to 8 months to review applications. So if you're interested in teaching at New York City Public Schools, you should begin this process as soon as possible. Okay, let's talk about the application process. Bringing up the overview again. After completing the common profile and the New York City Public School teacher application, all applicants will then receive a confirmation email from the Office of Teacher Recruitment and Quality confirming the receipt of your application. All applications will be reviewed to determine certification eligibility. Only applications that meet standards are entered into the new Teacher Finder, a database for candidates to connect with schools and access job postings and other resources. We'll talk more about the new Teacher Finder shortly. Now you can officially start your job search. And the application timeline. Just to give you a sense of the application and hiring timeline, the application opened on January 12th and remains open through the summer. So the application, you can apply now. It is open and it will remain open through the summer. There is a lot of mid-year hiring that takes place during the early winter months, and then principals begin hiring and interviewing for the following school year. Early commitment is an initiative for candidates certified in high-need subject areas to be able to accept positions in certain districts prior to budgets being released for peak hiring. This year, we even have a stipend available for candidates who accept an early commitment before June 16th. Then finally, peak hiring is June through August. And on the next slide, you'll see the summer hiring application deadline is June 25th. June 25th of 2026. To sum everything up, in order to teach at New York City Public Schools, you must be certified, complete the requirements, and apply for New York State teaching certification. You must submit a New York City teacher application at teach nyc.net when it opens. Well, it's already open. It opened in January. Remember, you do not have to wait for your certification in order for you to apply. And finally, finding your own position, doing your own outreach and networking, which we will speak about in the next section. So we're going to talk about finding your fit, finding the right position, and of course, the new teacher finder. One way you can promote success in your job search is by considering districts, neighborhoods, and schools where your talents are most needed. If you are certified in certain high demand subject areas, this is especially true. If you are really determined to work here, you should also think strategically about where you are looking for a position. If you want to go where the jobs are, consider teaching positions in the Bronx and Brooklyn. This year, 52% of our new hires occur in schools in these two boroughs. It's important that you find a school that's the right fit for you, but don't exclude schools because they are slightly out of your comfort zone or in a different borough from where you live. Almost all of our schools are easily accessible by public transportation, and we have students who need great teachers in all five boroughs. And as we mentioned, as we discussed, it's important that you put yourself out there in other ways. Research schools online. Reach out to schools directly. Talk to the faculty at your student teaching placement in college and network with colleagues, professors, and friends. If you are persistent and dedicated, you can find a position that's right for you and make it happen. Now you might be wondering how you can find out more information about our 1,600 plus schools. One helpful job search tool is the New Teacher Finder, or the NTF. Once you submit a high quality application, you will get access to the New Teacher Finder. You will be able to log in and use the New Teacher Finder in several ways. Your application profile will become viewable to principals and recruiters. You'll be able to search for teaching positions. It's important to know that not all principals list positions in the New Teacher Finder, but many do. And this will give you a sense of what's out there. Principals may not post positions, but they could be reviewing resumes to see which candidates can be a good fit for their schools. If you're certified in a high need subject area, you may receive invitations to New York City Public Schools sponsored recruitment events during the spring or summer. And it's also very important to note that not all candidates are invited to all events online and in person. Overall application quality, event capacity, and current certification needs are taken into consideration when inviting candidates to networking events. The next slide will show you a screenshot of what the new teacher finder looks like. After selecting search all positions on the left panel, you can filter for the position type, your preferred borough, grade level, and subject area. Principals enter their vacancies into the new teacher finder. And while you can express interest via the new teacher finder, you should also email principals directly. And this is very important. Definitely do reach out to the principals directly. To learn more about specific schools, you can go to schools.nyc.gov and use the school search feature right on the homepage. You can search for schools by name, borough, or grade level to help narrow down your options. However, you'll want to remember that the tool lists every school in our system, not just those schools with openings. Once you've identified the schools that interest you, you'll need to contact them directly to inquire about position availability. Clicking on an individual school, a school's name, will take you to a page that contains a wealth of information about a school. Click on school website to go directly to their website. Click on Overview to see some data about their grade levels, enrollment, district, and more. Click on School Quality for direct links to school quality guides and reports for this school. And you can also click on Reports for additional information about school programs, finances, and more. And let's talk about how you can stand out virtually. As you are conducting your job search, you'll want to think about ways to help you stand out virtually. This can include creating a portfolio, ensuring your cover letter and resume are strong, clear, and specific, and uploading a portfolio and or videos of demo lessons. You can upload all of this information in the Spotlight section of the new Teacher Finder so that principals can see it when they view your application. You can also send this information to principals and hiring managers via email when conducting your outreach. Please note that your demo lesson should be uploaded to an online platform like Google or Dropbox, and you can then include the link in your portfolio. With the right strategies and approaches, you can find the position that is right for you. Okay, moving on to the next slide. And the next one after that, Teach NYC Support Center for any questions that you may have and next steps. So you can visit the online support center for 24/7 support with the application and hiring process. The support center contains hundreds of articles about every stage of the application and hiring process, as well as a Contact Us button where you can submit your question to the TRQ help desk for a personalized response. And of course, we want you to stay connected with us. And I'll drop in the chat the following link. I'll do that in a second. But as you can see, please also follow us on social media. We are very, very active on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Last season, we reached millions of prospective and current teachers through our posts. Follow us and tag us to join the conversation. And check us out on YouTube to watch video recording of all of our information sessions, teacher spotlights, and more. And with that, I'll hand this over to my colleague, Stefan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hasey. Really appreciate it. Thank you all, everyone, for joining the Students with Disabilities information